everyone, welcome to the next sprint series. This is Lakshit Pan from Azure Developer Community, and today we will maybe you know I have started we are starting this series just to explore some projects, and I was when I was planning this initiative, there were a lot of questions in my mind how to build a what we are going to cover, what we will how we can curate some projects, and how easy we can make it for you all. But after lots of segregation, I just find out, right, I making some basic projects would really work out. So for today's session, we are going to make a network scanner app. That's a very simple, uh, you know, it's just a simple command. It uses one simple functionality that is already open source in Linux, and it helps a lot when you are building any kind of for any network. If you are setting up your infra, if you are setting up your maybe for system administrators, for DevOps, not for DevOps engineer, for system administrator, for network engineers, it's a very important thing that they should take care of. Because when you and for the organization like colleges, offices, and all these folks really need a network scanner. Why? The reason is because they the, let's understand what does a network scanner do, right? It helps us a lot of things, like it scan our entire network structure, like it provides maybe a service detection. It can identify all the services applications running on a particular port. And if you ever ever thought of how your college can block any particular IP address, maybe they just do a dry run using how they can access what you are going through, what websites you are going through. And if you are working on a college network, this is the this is the way they usually go through nmap functions and everything. So they can do a network discovery. Nmap, it's a very popular open source network scanning and auditing tool, and it is highly used by all the professionals who are network administrators, security professionals, and sometimes by ethical hackers as well, to discover all the open ports, map networks, remote hosts, and everything. And there can be multiple points of discovery which nmap provides, right? If you want to, maybe if I can just share you the resources. uh, yeah, so there is this organization. This is open source. You can simply go to the website. You can check out how does they what are the all things they provide. So this is a simple open source organization. The UI won't be really good because it's they are not very UI friendly, but the work that they do is very nice, right? So now let's try to make a network scanning tool. And what we can do for that is we are just a basic cron we what we I'll just give you a quick overview first. We'll be using two three things for that. We'll be using Apache server in order to run our web server, in order to run our maybe server. We'll be using Apache for the same. Next is we'll be using a PHP script. Why PHP script? I'll tell you in later. I'll tell you this in maybe later in the session. You will always able to identify why we are using PHP. Just for the formatting purposes, I'll just give you the glimpse. Also, for this network scanning app, there is this new term that you might be hearing for the first time that we will do, that is cron jobs. CRON jobs. So what does this cron jobs do? Suppose if you are a DevOps engineer, if you are an automation engineer, this term might be very useful, or maybe you have heard it very well, right? A cron jobs helps you to automate a particular task, to run a particular command at a particular time, right? So if I'll just show you cron app groups, this is the so with the help of, maybe I can just, yeah, so maybe they are mostly like automatically at specified interval of times. They can run a scheduled daemon. With it depends on what daemon you are working on. If it is Linux or what, or maybe whatever you are working on, they are responsible for executing all the commands according to the predefined schedule that you will be providing. They are just for use for the automating repetitive or maybe routine task on a particular system. Suppose you must have seen WhatsApp doing backup at every day, where WhatsApp does a backup at every day at 2 p.m., right? 2 a.m., I'm sorry. So That's simply that might be possible. They are using a cron job configuration because that allows you to schedule a particular time to, and then you can just explore and run a particular, do automation scheduling. Then there are multiple things. You can run custom script. You can also maybe make a cron jobs for login, scripting, logging and notification purposes. And again, the security configurations and considerations are always there, right? So let's suppose if you want to, WhatsApp, like WhatsApp does it for backup, then there can be software updates, right? If one wants to regularly give software updates, like I remember Meta Spark is one tool which Meta really owns, and they do it regularly, right? There are all the time, every day there is a new version you will see. So for that purpose, when you are working on very frequent, if you are in an IDS in phase of your project or maybe your product, cron jobs are the very important things. Then you should explore. And I'll just quickly share. But I'll just quickly share my screen. By the way, I'll just put the link in the comment section as well. This can be the very important link for you because this really helps a lot. If you will see what does the this links do, right? Else helps you, pick a particular time. Suppose if I'll add something here, like yes, so it's like minutes, hour, day, month, and month and day. So 4 5 maybe AM on Sunday. And if you want to change this, you can just, maybe if you want to change any particular month, maybe you can just do it. So in August it will. So you need to copy this thing. This thing is important for you. What's written inside. So this configuration job is really important for you, right? Because this is the particular standard that you need to follow while maintaining your cron job configuration. Suppose if you want it for, maybe I'll just make it like mm, so there can be, if I just wanted to run it for maybe any particular idea, suppose not August, but maybe what I can do at, I'll just change this to, okay, at every 10 seconds, or maybe at every 10, if you want this to run at every 10 seconds. So this is the cron job configuration that you can precisely do. And then I'll quickly share with you the, precisely I have made this project a couple of maybe months back. So I'm pretty unsure how we are going to, I'm not sure what we are going to cover, but I'll quickly show you when. Okay, that's on my GitHub, right? So I can just share you my GitHub repository that I have worked upon. Okay, it's showing this one, right? So here, yeah, this is a network scanning. Yeah, yeah. So this is the network scanner app that I already told you we'll be using Apache server for the same, and Nmap is the open source library, open source tool that you use for scanning any particular web application, for doing any particular, for scanning your networks and everything. Then we'll be using some PHP script that will give us a particular template in which all our logs will store, right? Then there is, so don't get afraid of all these terms that you see right over here. These are some basic permissions, permission requirement that you need while running a cron job configuration, right? All you can do in order to download this project, okay, this this you just make sure I that this is a mistake that I have done. This is not linux.git, this is maybe networkscanner.git, right? So you need to edit this while you are cloning this, or maybe forking this, or maybe whatever you are planning to do. You just need to make sure that you are cloning the right URL. This is not Linux projects. Now I have, maybe I don't know, remember when I have changed it. It's networkscanner.get file. So make sure don't follow anyone blindly, right? You can just change this basic thing, right? Then yeah, this is fine. Then yeah, this is what we are going to do. You can see at every 10 seconds, sorry, at every 10 minutes. So you can see we have I've already showed you how we are going to do. And in the cron jobs configuration, in the cron tab guru, I have already showed you what does a cron looks like, cron jobs looks like. You will see at every 10 minutes we will run nmap, and we will, this was the network that I was working on. We will you can use your IP addresses and what not. So I'll quickly just give me a moment. I'll just quickly edit this part out. I don't want you to maybe mm, your IP address, right? And one more thing that I is this is not Linux project. This is network scan scanner.get, and then we can do this commit changes right over here. That's pretty much that. I will just I have updated the GitHub repository. Now it will be very easy for you. You can just clone this. You can install some basic PHP and map function, and you can just simply update all the servers, and then you will find yourself running this. So now let's maybe jump directly to to the maybe to the dub. So I'm using WSL for my system in order to run Linux, right? So maybe I can just quickly share my screen. Yeah, it's there. I hope my screen is visible to you all. So that's pretty much it. So what I'm using a WSL system, right? Okay, so maybe so this is the what Windows subsystem for Linux that I'm using right now, and using this will be run. I'm using Ubuntu, and if you are using any other kind of, so this is a very nice if you don't have a Linux in your system, you can use WSL any point of time, and you can see I can run any of the. There are multiple things that I can run right over here, like PowerShell, Azure Cloud Shell, Ubuntu. I can also run Parrot OS is also there. I'm not really not sure, but I get Bash. You can already you can run all these from by installing a WSL. If you really want to explore WSL, you can simply go to WSL installation. Yeah, this is the link that you need to follow, and you will be easily able to set up your WSL environment. There are some very key important aspects that you have to remember at any point of time. Why? Because WSL really requires setting up the environment variable. So while setting up your environment variable, you have to be very careful. Otherwise, it would be really tough daunting task for you while working in the WSL system. Also, if your system is not having enough space, I'll highly recommend not use WSL, because if you are working on maybe a 4 GB RAM system, or maybe a 4 GB or less, if even it's 8 GB, you can, because I'm also working on a 8 GB system, right? But if you are running if you're using any other system, then definitely I won't recommend at any point of time to use WSL, because it's like a virtual machine that already running in the background of your system. So out of that 8 GB, it will secure 2 GB. If you This totally depend how much RAM you want to give it to your WSL system. So I gave it 2 GB. 2 GB is more than enough for WSL to run. But now the 2 GB is now, as soon as you install WSL, you set up everything inside the WSL, you won't be able to do anything. You are only left with your 6 GB. Your system will always run on 6 GB of RAM, right? Because now the 2 GB is already assigned. So doesn't matter you are using WSL or not, or it's maybe like a shadow application in your system, but it doesn't matter. It will always keep the 2 GB RAM with it. Okay, that's something that's typically how the WSL works. So if you're working on a system that is not configured, or maybe that has a RAM of about 8 GB or something like this, then please just be careful while using WSL. That's what I could recommend right now. So there are some basic commands that maybe you pretty much have heard about it. Like maybe there is a command called ls. I can just change this to maybe this. Right, perfect. There is this command called ls that but typically list all the files that are inside. And yeah, that's what the ls command do. Then there are a couple of things like cd if you want to change the IP file. So there is a difference, right? If you will see right over here, this index.html file is, it's the color of this is white, while Linux master class is in blue color. It's pretty much obvious. If right now I'll do this now. if you will if I tell you why this is happening, because this is a directory and this is a folder, this is a file, you know so I can, a directory is like a folder. Inside a directory there can be multiple files. I hope you understand the concept of directory, right? So yeah, that's pretty much it. So maybe if you want to, there is a command called cd change directory. If I want to go to next master class, I can simply do cd linux, and now, yeah, wow, now I'm in the cd master class. Now there is nothing inside linux master class, so I'll just use cd dot dot. There are two things. For one is cd change directory. This will put you directly to the home directory, right? This will directly jump to the home directory now. Maybe, but there is one more thing, that is cd dot dot. See, what does cd dot dot? What's the difference between cd dot dot and cd? Is cd typically takes you jump backs you to the home directory, and cd dot dot jump backs you to the previous directory that you're working on. So that's how it typically works. Now, yeah, now maybe we can install all the requirements that we need for this particular thing. So first of all, I'll just do a quick dry run. So why I'm running us? So now let's understand what's this command, right? Sudo. But is super. So okay, I already announced it, right? Sudo is a super admin user. If in order to install anything in your Linux subsystem, you need to run a super admin. You have to be a super admin user. Only then you will be able to install any or change any files or modify any files, right? So sudo is the command that you use, and apt get update. So I'm using a apt. If you are using a Mac OS, then it might be yum for you. Okay, that hardly affects anything, but there are some differences that you should know, right? I'm using Windows, so it's apt for me, and I'm just updating my system. Let's see if my, okay, yeah. So you have to remember your password always. What's your password of? So now, right now, it's just typically updating the system, that I'm, updating the Ubuntu, or maybe I'll say updating the WSL part that I have with me, right? So that's what pretty much it's doing right now. Now you can say it's done. Mhm. Okay. Now I'll jump to the CD. Uh, no, let's be on the home directory only. Let's not touch the Linux master class file. Now I'll also install the Apache server, so that maybe I've already installed the Apache server with me, right? If but I've already you can see it's zero upgrade because it's already installed. It's newly installed in my system, so that's why it's not installing. But for you, if you will, while you will run this command, the Apache server will typically install and everything. Right now, also there is another thing, that is nmap function you would need. So just run nmap. Just make sure you have nmap installed with you, and also the one last but not the least, that is PHP. You need to install PHP in your WSL. So there are two things, right? I just told you, there might be a case if you could have installed PHP, you have already, installed PHP in your system. But if you are using WSL, this is, maximum time I'm assuming you are using WSL subsystem for Linux, right? Windows subsystem for Linux. And there are two things I told you, right? The WSL separates, or maybe keeps the RAM separated from the original system, right? Suppose if you have a 8 GB RAM, right? And now if you have given 2 GB RAM to WSL, you have assigned 2 GB RAM to WSL. Now that 2 GB RAM and 6 GB RAM, there is a difference, right? So if you have installed PHP, and if you have been working on PHP projects earlier, then it is installed in your original system, but not on the WSL. I hope you can understand this. It is just installed in your the W in the your original system, but not on the WSL. So you have to. It's more like a virtual machine that we are working upon right now, right? and this is the Linux image that we are using. So that's this is pretty much about the WSL in the simplest term. I can maybe help you understand. The next thing is so you have to install the PHP again in the WSL if you are not having that, right. Yeah. Now, okay, now I have to maybe, yeah, so what I will do, I'll check the ownership. So sudo super admin user change owner. I'm just checking who's my owner. So this is the owner name, and I'll see. Okay, cd, and I'll run this command to chmod. And why I'm doing this? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I just forgot to add the permission, right? So 777 is the universal number. So there can be multiple, it means that I'm giving the 100% read, write, and execute access. If it is 777, that means 100% read, write, and execute access. That's pretty much that I'm doing right now. So I can just do this now. So now password is the Laksh is the owner of typically the owner and has all the accesses, right? Read, write, execute everything, right? Now I'll quickly go to maybe this and HTML. Right now in the HTML directory. Now what I will do here is I'll quickly do list all the files that are already present here. Okay, there are two HTML map HTML. Let's see. Okay, let's see what's inside name.html. Okay, oh, nothing. So maybe I can just simply remove this nam.html. Maybe I have misspelled it, and at that point of time I was in the learning phase. So maybe that might be possible that I have just made a file and then forgot to delete it. Right now, if I'll do ls, you won't see that. So yeah, now I'll see what's inside my nmap.html. So what we are going to do is I have created a HTML file that is nmap.html inside the HTML page, inside the HTML directory. Why? Because all the logs of how this will typically works. Okay, just give me a moment. I'm running the pen. How this will work, I'll just quickly tell you. Right? Yes. So if maybe there is this server there is a server with particular IP address, right? With this particular IP address, I will scan this, right? And after scanning, it will give me one report, and I'll print this report. I'll save this report, or I'll save this logs in the nmap.html file. So this is how it's gonna work. So what I will do, I'll scan the I'll scan maybe this server that this IP address, particular IP address, right? And I'll save all those details in the nmap.html. So if you will see right over here, what's it's written. So I'll just zoom in a little bit. Nmap done at Friday, August 4, okay, 2023 at this point of time. Okay, I have done this project on August, right? Okay. Nice. So I've scanned a particular IP address, and it took this much time. This was the IP address that I was trying to scan, and it was taking this much time. Right. Perfect. Now what I will do is, let's first clear this. Now I told you this network.stp is very important in the entire project. Why? Because now you will see this is the PHP script that I have just. This is a very basic just two-line script that I have written right over here that will help me understand, that will structure the format, right? So suppose, you know typically if you will save the log, it will be like this. The nmap.html, while I'll scan the network, it will be something like there will be some numbers, there will be some, so I won't be able to, read it properly. So what I have done is using this PHP command, using this maybe the PHP script that I'm using. So I'm echoing, I'm just printing server.time. So similar to the print statement in C, or maybe in Python, or maybe in Python that we use print. Here we use echo, right? So echo server.timestamp, and it will echo the date for me in this particular format, right? This is the format. I hope you all are really aware of that format that I have written right over here. Then I have made a pre-tag. Inside this, I'll include nmap.html. So inside the pre-tag, I've given it a particular structure, then end the HTML PHP script. That's pretty much that I've done, right? That's why, when I was doing this, uh, you are able to read these all things are readable, right? But once, if this PHP script is not wouldn't be here, you would, it would take ages to read you write this thing. So that's pretty much it. I am that this PHP script is helping me out. So yeah, that's something that I just wanted to tell. Now what we will do is we will run our cron job configuration. So how I can run the cron job configuration? That's pretty much simple. I'll just type a command sudo cron tab minus E. So this is you just need to ignore all the hash elements. Now this is the cron job configuration that I have written, that in every 10 minutes. So I have already told you, right, how this typically works. I have like in this, so you can see, just compare it with this, right? Just compare a simple one line command that I have written. This is pretty much, this is all about your maybe the this is this that all the network scanning web application is just running on this particular command. This is pretty much the command that maybe maybe I can just okay, perfect. This is the one simple command that is running on, and this is a simple command that I'm running, that is looking on the project. And if you will see how this is working, in every 10 seconds, so this is the cron tab configuration, in every 10 minutes, I'm really sorry, I'm really not sure why I'm in every 10th minute, okay, if if this zero wouldn't be here, if it's store, right, at every 10th minute, right, you can see at every 10th minute nmap this particular IP address on this address and save it to here, and saved. So this is for saving the logs, and save it in this log. So this is pretty much that I'm running right now. Okay, so yeah, this is all about the cron job configuration. So I already told you what does the cron job configuration do. It helps you identify, automate, test, save your logs, and do all the automation testing part, and do your backups, secure your logs, updates, frequent updates, everything. This can be really automated. You can really automate everything using the cron jobs, right? So suppose if you are working on a project and you want to push everything, at 2 a.m. You want everything, you want to run up, you can just make a configuration using cron tab and push everything to your main server or a database using the cron job configuration as well. So that's pretty much about the cron job configuration, that the concept I just wanted to introduce you about. Rest you can always explore it whenever you want. Right now I'll just see. Hmm. Okay, so this is pretty much about the cron job configuration. Now you can just simply save and close the file. How? Control X, then press Y, and then enter. This is how simply you can do. Now I'll run my Apache server. Sudo service There's this important thing that I just wanted to highlight. Right now, you can see my Apache servers is up and running, but there can be possible. Let me just stop. Okay, for some folks, instead of using service, you might be using systemctl. But maybe systemctl. Okay, unknown verb. So yeah, Apache. I can use. So what is the difference between systemctl and the service? So for my user perspective, for my user, I am not using maybe the, so for my PIID, like I'm using the Ubuntu image, right? For this purpose, for on the WSL, I'm using the Ubuntu image. That's why I'm using service instead of systemctl, right? For you, it might be service, right? I'm using service. So, J2 start. Now the Apache server is up and running, and my IP address, maybe, or do I have saved it somewhere? Yeah, this is now. You will. Can you see this? So okay, it's showing me older configuration that I have done. Now after 10 seconds, after 10 minutes, again it will scan all the IP addresses and it will show me. Typically, this is how it works. So if I'll remove the PHP file, it will be like a simple hash function that you can never, that you would never be able to, maybe, you know what I would say, that you will never be able to understand exactly what is happening. So this is pretty much, this is the log that it is saving, like, zero host up and running. So I have just scanned this for my own purpose. Now if you are using, if you are scanning any particular college, IP address or something like this, that will, or any organization IP address, something like this, that might be a very long script, a one pager script for you. I'll just show you. And map network scanning. I'll go to images. It might be something like this for you, that will show you the entire, you know that will show you the multiple things, like initiating trace route, from which route it is going, how many hops it is having, which IP addresses, which call is coming, and everything. So it will show you a lots of things. So this is how it will look like. If you are, it depends which network you are scanning on. So this is pretty much about the network scanning app in less than half an hour that you can learn, right? Using a simple nmap and maybe the cron job configuration in every 10th minute, right? So now I'll just put, uh, if there is any question, just let me know. I'll quickly go through it, and I'll just, yeah, if there is any question, guys, just let me know. If so, okay, what is this cron job? Okay, cron job I've already discussed. So cron job configuration is for the automation of tasks, right? And I have shared you this link. Please go through this. You will be able to understand what exactly the cron job is doing. Can I install WSL? Yeah, it's right now, because I'm explaining the things to you, it's taking a lot more than usual, like half an hour it took, but it's hardly a 10-minute project. That will simply take you 10 minutes to make a project, right? Yeah. Thank you. Sure. Yeah. Tomorrow we'll be making this project. Tomorrow, I'm not sure. Yeah, tomorrow we'll see how we can make the project a little bit tough for you all, right? Yeah, we'll see. Sure. No. We won't be able to. yeah, I understand your concern, but yes, yes, sure thing, sure thing. So perfect. So that's it for today's session, guys. I have everything right over this head over this repository. You can always find this repository link right over here. I am quickly sharing the link in the comment section. And see you all there. Thank you guys for joining in. Hoping to see you on the next session. Bye bye.